Let's stick with councils because it just keeps going in New South Wales. The Cumberland City Council in Western Sydney, well, it doesn't matter that 64%, I think it was certainly two-thirds.
It was 64%.
Of people in that shire voted no to the Voice at the referendum last October. No, they're going to push ahead with their own local treaty. They're calling it partnership, but it's really a treaty with 3 Indigenous groups. Now, this treaty, apart from acknowledging that the land in the shire was never ceded, and I guess if the council really believed that, they would give back City Hall and their own homes and properties, but it's just virtue signalling. But they've decided that these 3 Indigenous groups will be consulted on every new development, every planning application, and even on the naming of streets from now on once they pass this partnership. Councillor Steve Christou was on 2GB talking about the incredible red tape that will be put around developments if this goes ahead.
That is very, very concerning because it will just stop any development or any sort of progress occurring in Cumberland. And imagine all the red tape that's going to be created when you have to consult on every land purchase or every negotiation or deal that council wants to implement. It's just not on. It's horrendous for the local community.
Now, the good news is the state government can override this. But, Joe, the bad news is it's a Labor state government.
It is, but the Labor mayor of Cumberland is pretty sensible. I've only met her once, but she seemed pretty sensible, and they've had sort of issues dancing around kind of, you know, are they too woke versus Steve Christou, who's a former mayor and is very obviously, as you can see, straight down the line, good old-fashioned family values, no nonsense, no BS, that sort of thing. And he's a impressive figure as well. But I think it will be interesting to see just what form this takes. I can't imagine. Firstly, the state Labor government wants to do one thing and one thing only above absolutely anything else. And it showed it in its last state budget where it put billions towards it, and it showed it in every single thing that it said, front and centre. It wants more housing, and anything that stops councils from approving more housing, they come in and they whack them like a ton of bricks. They hate NIMBYs. They hate the councils who aren't approving it. They've gone after them before. They'll go after them again. They've just announced, God, no, $8 billion or something for public housing, a huge amount of money. So if any of these so-called consultations or partnerships slow down the development application process and slow down the rate of speed at which housing can be approved, I promise you the government will come down on them like a ton of bricks. The good news is the mayor is not like a sort of a Willara council or one of those kind of lefty, white, tealy kind of lefty councils. This is real sort of Sydney heartland, Western Sydney, multicultural. The Labor mayor's mayor from the right of the party, as is obviously Chris Minns, who's been saying all the right things about ending red tape and that sort of stuff, including in the previous story. So I think I hold out some hope that this is just a kind of thing to say, acknowledge, yeah, maybe we'll have some Indigenous names on the new streets that we build. Maybe there will be, Indigenous spaces. If there's a park, there'll be a yarning circle or some sort of note to the Indigenous history. But if it slows up housing and development, it will be crushed.
But even if it doesn't affect red tape, Liz, what right does a local council, who are meant to be filling in potholes, making sure parks are freshly mowed, what right do they have to enter into treaties on who owns the land with anybody?
And it's a big middle finger to the people who voted them in. You are supposed to be representing your constituency. 240,000 people live in Cumberland Council. Only 1,450 of them are Indigenous. So to preference such a small percentage of the population, it begs the question, if they pass such a thing, who's really running the council? Why do we elect you guys to be on council and to sit as councillors if you're just going to sign a treaty that makes everyone co-managers with those 3 land councils?
But I suppose what I'm saying is it's not actually a treaty at all. It's just Steve Christou was saying this is effectively a treaty. It'll be the same thing as a treaty.